We are live on Facebook.
Remember, we're managing racers and they're all anxious.
And
they want to figure out how to get that money.
We are live on Instagram, and it is time to talk about how to get stickers on your car. Or to help out, get your car built from the people who know how to build it best. What's going on, Justin?
Thank you, Chase. Appreciate that. But what you said was how to get stickers on your car.
Oh, yeah.
That's easy. You can get stickers anywhere you want and stick them on your car. I mean, I've seen you with a Shocker on your car. Not going to get you any money.
If that's the case, I'm fully factory.
You're sponsored by Shocker. Awesome. So today, we're going to give you some, I'm not going to tell you anything. We're just going to give you a little bit of advice when it comes to trying to get sponsorship and trying to get money in general for racing. It's very hard to do. Sounds easy and everybody tries. It's very rare that it happens. And we'll kind of give you some examples of that by some of the racers who are fully sponsored for multiple manufacturers and multiple companies in the industry, kind of give you some advice. So this is a really killer show. We've got George Hamill signing in today.
Hi, guys.
He is helping out. You know why? Because not only is George a super cool dude, but he was factory sponsored by Yamaha.
So we got a little bit of support. We put a bunch of work into it.
Yeah.
But I think a correction on what you said is not just to get money, but maybe even to get free parts.
Yeah, there's multiple levels of money. So how about this? To get something or to try and get some sort of support, whether that's parts or whether that is money. Money's hard, parts are easier, but we'll go into that, right, George?
Absolutely.
Also, we got Matt, Shock Doc Matt, over here. And you're probably not going to hear anything from him, but he's going to stand here and look good.
I don't know. Matt should be sponsored for getting sponsored. I honestly, I don't know how Matt races, and then I look at his sponsor game. So I think Matt's got a lot of insight for
I have
us.
a few.
Yeah. He does have some great advice, and you guys, hopefully you don't think that I've got better things to do while I'm on my phone throughout this feed, but everybody who's signing in is going to be texting me and trying to work that out in the middle of everything, and maybe some advice from some other company owners in the industry that didn't want to or could not be on the feed. I'm going to be going back and forth on my phone. So first, and I guess I'm just going to have a conversation with you, George, as much as anything else. When it comes to, so what we see a lot as a business in the industry and also as a racer with race friends, I see all of my friends and acquaintances just asking, how do I go about getting a bunch of money from somebody to go race? You know, as a business, we see emails all the time, and I mean like 5 emails a day that are, hey, that range the gamut between, hey, I'm so-and-so, here's my car number, we're really good, give me stuff. That I've had that in like one sentence on an email before, and I went, click, bye. then all the way to stuff that's like full 7-page paragraph, full media packets, and everything that you would definitely want to spend some time on. We get all of it, and there's lots of levels to how people ask for stuff. Is this you asking to do something?
I was going to say our personal favorite. We're going to win. One of our favorites. What they're going to win.
Or they're asking for parts and they don't even have a car yet, and they never raced. So that's another one you definitely don't want to do.
That'll be a good perspective because you got both ends of the spectrum.
A little bit. So
Racer
maybe
guy
I can
and company guy.
Yeah. So maybe I can give advice on both of them. But when it comes to the racing side, asking for stuff, I'm not a good one to ask because we really don't go around asking. We've had people come to us and give us some stuff, and we're very proud of those companies, and we use all of their parts on our car. Usually the only people that we ever will put on our car, or if someone says, hey, we want to give you stuff, we're only going to run and take that or accept that from people that were already racing their parts.
Right.
We love Method and Tenzer. I think it's the best package wheel and tire made for UTVs, and they contacted us, and because we were running their stuff, they're now supporting us. If it was BFG, I wouldn't have changed tire manufacturers to run free tires. We just don't do that.
It'll be neat. You and I both have some real world experiences being able to go through the whole process, the work ethic behind it and all that stuff.
In like 1 minute or less, how did you go about getting connected with Yamaha in short course racing, and what did they support you with?
So they supported us with, I'll call it product cars and engines, transmissions, all that stuff.
Big product.
Yeah, big product. So the way that we went about it, though, was just putting hard work in. So I actually did 1.5 years worth of work for them before I even got to sit down at the meeting with them to be able to get that conversation going.
Well, what do you mean by work? What'd you do?
So we did all the racing for all the Lucas Short Course series in
So you were funding your own racing before they came on board?
100%. We had a couple other sponsors, but we were doing it on our own, paying for our races, doing all that stuff. And then we started asking them if we could help to go to events and to promote these things. We would bring the car, and we would talk to people about racing, and we would talk about the new vehicle platform, and we would give, this is the most valuable piece of the conversation that I'm going to have. We would give reports to them about how many people we talked to, how many people were interested in going to the dealership to buy a vehicle, and what their demographics were if we could get them from them during those conversations.
So like a customer detailed communication report, basically,
Similar.
who you talk to and their information?
You have to do it as grassroots as possible, right? So just like you and I having a conversation right now, I could see that you like racing. You have people that you go with out in the trails. You do testing, so there's a very good possibility that you'd be interested in buying a new side-by-side in the next year. Do you have a family?
So you're doing market research for them at events?
In a general conversation context, yes. And we would provide reports to them at the end of each one of those events. And that was very valuable to them because they needed it for a brand new vehicle platform.
Did they give you any money to race short course?
No. We still had to get money from other sponsors to do that. But what we did was we segmented each individual company. So we had one person pay for entry fees. We had one person pay for gas. We had the other people give us parts. We had the other people give us tires, so that the program itself would be supported at least at the races by itself. And then all of the stuff around it, I had to pay for my crew, I had to pay for food, I had to pay for hotels, and that was on me.
How did you get somebody to pay for your gas? How did you go about going to, I don't know, Napa Auto Parts and saying, hey, you guys want to pay my gas?
We didn't do it like that. We said, can we help at events? What can we do to help you? And they said, we can do this. And then when they give you that answer, it's a very, very good context to be able to say, okay, we're going to be providing this level of support for their team. And you can understand and reverse engineer that saying, well, it's worth about $500 or it's worth about $10,000. Because you know the workload that's going to be behind it. And then once that comes through, then you can say, okay, well, maybe I can ask them for a good amount of money if it's a lot of work from us. If it's worth a little bit of work from us, then we would do something more like, would you mind paying for the races because it's only a $500 budget per year, or whatever it is. So you can really gauge by asking them those questions.
So I'm going to come back to you on more details about that kind of stuff right now. So Brandon, hang tight because we're going to go and grab Wes Miller next. So Brandon, hang tight for like 5 or 10 minutes. I have another thing to add to that too. It's really, really easy to ask for things and get it if you win. And one of the things that everybody has ever said to me, if I've ever asked how they went and did it, is the same thing: win races. Well, that means you have to build the car, have some history, be good at it, both building, prepping, and driving, win some stuff, and then you can pretty much get whatever you want. So no matter what, if you win, then the sponsorship end of things are going to be a lot easier. You don't have to worry so much about the details and how you approach companies to get the money if you're winning constantly. But usually the people that are asking for a ton of sponsorship haven't won much yet. They're looking for the sponsorship to try and push them over the top and maybe get them the product that they need or get them the support that they need to be faster, to build a lighter car, to go and do more testing, to get better in general. It's kind of backwards. You really need to win stuff before you can go and get it easily. It's very hard to get if you haven't won anything. So if Wes isn't on, Chase?
I don't see Wes in the room.
Okay, I'll tell him to do it, but go ahead and
Wes,
grab
where you
Brandon
at?
really quick. Yeah, Wes, after Brandon, we'll go to you. Just do us give us a request to go live on it when you get a
We also
chance.
got Killer Carver in the room, which we'll be talking to him in a little
right,
bit. But
let's do
for
either
now,
one.
the first person to the group chat, and always the first person to the podium, Brandon Sims. What's going on, brother?
How's it going, Brandon?
Good, how are you guys?
Great, and I want to give you the proper introduction to those who may not know who you are, which you'd have to be under a rock to not know. Brandon Sims, factory Polaris driver, sponsored by multiple companies, on the podium, almost every single race. Where were you in points last year, Brandon? And I think you've got a points championship under your belt, and many Baja wins, as many. How many races have you not won? How's that?
So last year was a little bit different due to COVID and a few other things that we had to run into. We didn't actually go for a points championship last year. We ended up going for the big races. Basically, we just kind of signed up for all the big races, and that's kind of what the sponsors were looking for. All my marketing partners, everything. That's kind of what we went for. So we had a good run last year. We got a handful of podiums and, the big win at the Mid 400.
Badass, man. Well, you're always in the top contention no matter what, even if you have problems. But on this feed, we're trying to tell people that may not know, or, let's assume, what would you tell someone who has sent me an email asking for sponsorship, who has sent Polaris an email asking for sponsorship? They're asking everyone for it, but they're not getting any luck. What would be some advice you could give them on how to tailor that to make it better for the companies and what they're looking for?
Man, to be honest, so a lot of the issues I ran into before I got any kind of sponsorship, I was doing everything out of my own pocket, building, prepping, everything was all on my own. I didn't have any money really, so it took everything I had. I would send out emails just as you're talking about, emails, letters, whatever it took to try to get some support. And not always did they reach back and say, we're going to take care of you on this or that. They would give me, product help, stuff like that. Until I was able to actually prove that I was somebody that could actually hit the podium often and do the big races. Unfortunately, most of the media and anything is part of the big races. Best of the Desert, King of the Hammers, score races. There's a lot of issues we ran into running smaller races where you didn't get the notoriety, even though we would do really well there and kind of get our foot in the door a little bit. But it wasn't until we actually started racing the big races like Best of the Desert that we got any kind of notoriety.
I would assume that process that you're talking about, you made it sound like it was quick, but I would assume it was over a span of 6-18 months?
You're on Facebook.
Oh man,
maybe
any help basically. I basically started racing the big races, Best of the Desert, in 2014, and I raced a whole bunch of small races before that and actually did really well. But it wasn't until we started racing Best of the Desert and made it a few races into that we actually got noticed. So I would say this is over a span of a couple of years before I actually was able to get the attention that I needed from the people that I needed to get it from.
That's exactly what you were talking about, Justin, is the notoriety and winning those bigger races and actually making a name for yourself.
Well, once you've won one or podiumed, 2 or 3, actually I think Jake Carver had mentioned that he had podiumed like 4 races in a row before he even got noticed by Polaris. I think at the time it was Craig Scanlon, right? But you have to have some success to make it easy. Prior to having success, it's pretty hard. But tailoring your requests the right way and having the right amount of media is huge, right, Brandon?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times I didn't even reach out to people asking for their help. A lot of times, I'd try to go shake as many hands as I could at the races, introduce myself, get my name in the door, and not really ask for anything, but just kind of let everybody know who I was, what I was doing, what my plans were, and I tried not to, be that guy that was reaching out for something instantly. I just wanted everybody to know who I was and keep an eye out and just kind of follow, my racing.
There's a really famous story that goes along those same lines. There's a really famous story that goes along those same lines, Brandon. You know a driver named Lewis Hamilton, right? Mm-hmm. So when he was 10 years old, he walked up to, I forgot what his name was, Ron something.
Dennis.
Dennis, over at Mercedes-Benz F1, and he was 10 years old. He walked up to him and said, "Someday I'm going to drive for you." And then, Ron Dennis, once that time came, man, is like lighting a fire under him.
Yeah, so that's Formula One driving right there, and that trickles down to everything else that we do. Any other piece of advice? Actually, I do have a question for you, Brandon. You don't have to say it if you don't want to, but I'm going to poke you in the stomach right now. So, how hard is it to get money from a manufacturer or somebody versus parts?
Well, that's a very tricky one because it is a lot easier to get parts from a manufacturer. There's no doubt. Getting money from them is a big difference. The parts, it seems like they're a lot easier, a lot more lenient, and to get you that part, but to actually start getting any kind of money out of them, it's a big deal. I mean, I know quite a bit of what people get, and only a handful of them get kind of money from them. So, it's nice to start at the bottom, getting parts, work your way up, trying to ask for money right off the bat. I don't think that's going to get you very far. So,
good advice.
What you can get when you can get it, and kind of utilize that to help your program and go from there.
Build on it.
Yeah.
Exactly. company.
100%.
Brandon, I'll say I love that new Shockey sticker on your car as much as I love your new haircut. And Mitch Guthrie's in the chat room, and he would like to say he likes your mustache going there.
I didn't get to see it. It's looking pretty sweet.
It definitely looks like we're getting close to race season because you got a mustache going there.
Nice.
Yeah. Hopefully it's had some luck. I had some terrible luck last week.
King of the Hammers will do that to you. I think you were winning when you had a problem. That sucks, man.
Yeah. Typical desert racer, right? I was winning until I wasn't anymore.
Hey, Brandon, thank you very much for signing in. We're going to kick you off so we can grab some more guys, okay? Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, what else you got in there, Chase? Anybody that sticks out right away?
Let's see who we could find.
Wes is supposed to come on, and also I think you had Jake.
I do. I got
Big
the
dog.
one, the only, Baja Killer, Mr. Mint 400, a.k.a. Mr. Baja 400, the one and only man, Wes Miller. What's going on, brother?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, Wes, thanks for signing on. Chase's introduction sucks, so I'll do a proper one. And that is 2020 Baja 1000 winner. You're the only one that won it. Nobody else can win it but you. There's only one person that wins. Good job. Hard race, brutal race, and you are the perfect person to give people advice when it comes to sponsorship and or support, because not only have you won the hardest race, but you're also out there beating the pavement for sponsorship and helping and basically taking care of your sponsors. Can you give anybody advice when it comes to that?
Yeah, I think I've been doing this a long time. I race quads professionally for 25 years, as well as I've kind of seen this from all sides because I worked as marketing director for DWT. I owned H-Bomb Films, Bomb Squad Racing. So we had the Bomb Squad, which was our team. So I handled all the sponsorships for that. So I did definitely. I have a very well-rounded view because I've seen it from all sides. So I think one of the key things that people need to look at is, like you were saying, so many people approach this with their hand out looking for free giveaways, and that's not very appealing to a company. I think the approach that people need to take is, what can I do for this company? What do I bring to the table? And end of the day, how am I increasing that company's profits and sales? Because you need to justify them helping you out. So I think those are all things that you need to consider. What's tough is everybody's talking about, you have to win races. And I think a big hurdle is you kind of need support to go win races.
Yeah, it's catch-22, isn't it? Chicken or the egg?
Exactly. So that said, I think everybody, how Brandon just said, almost everybody gets started. You got to figure out a way to pull it off on your own to at least get out there and prove that you can do it. That's number one. Now, once you're out there and you're doing it, I think one of the key things is you need to look at, one of the things I look at is, okay, I'm going to go to these races and I'm going to do the best that I can to go try to win, and I'm going to represent my marketing partners in the most professional manner possible. That said, what guaranteed deliverables can you bring? What can you do that, because you can never guarantee you're going to win a race. So what can you do that you're going to guarantee to companies that I'm going to do X, Y, and Z? So, that can be doing content. It can be doing appearances, doing event activations. What I try to really work with companies is developing deliverable packages that meet their needs to where I can help increase their ROI or return on investment in me. So if a company is giving you X amount of product or money, you've got to justify that expense at the end of the day. You want their CFO to be able to look at that and say, wow, Wes Miller, or whoever it is that they're working with, we sold, ideally they can track that, and they can say, we sold X amount of product directly because of this relationship. So, I think those are things that people need to be considering. I think in this day and age with social media, definitely companies have a big use and demand for content. So deliver content packages. Try to think out box of just going and winning races? What else can you do to bring added value to the team?
Wes said deliverables like 3 times there.
Deliverables.
A
So
lot of people don't know what a deliverable is, though, right? So
Well-
what would you consider a deliverable for shock therapy if somebody was asking?
I want to see value. So what are you, not to put it, bluntly, but I will. What are you doing for the company? Or are you out there promoting the company? Are you talking to people? Are you selling products physically? Is our brand pushed wherever you are? It doesn't have to be a race. It's wherever you are. So that's valuable to us.
Yeah, even the sand dunes, right? Like,
Yeah,
wherever.
I mean, yeah. If you're in the dunes, then and you're talking about us, that's great. You're promoting us, tagging us, and everything you do. Wes, one thing that you do better than most of the athletes that we're involved in is the after the race, not just a report, but the way that you present it is always how you've helped the company, and you're doing it almost on an individual basis. It's not like you're sending out a blanket, report to everyone. You're actually changing the name of the person that you're talking to in those emails, and you do the best job of that.
I appreciate that, and that is really important. I think it's developing relationships with your marketing partners. Most of the companies that I work with, I've been with for probably minimum 5 years, a lot of them 10, 20 years.
That's
at
awesome.
This point. And I think it's very important to have loyalty with companies. Go through ebbs and flows with them, but stick with the companies that have your back. Because if you jump around and you jump ship and you're just always having your hand out, you're going to get a bad name in the industry. Nobody wants to deal with that type of person. Now, there's a lot of those racers that are out there that I think constantly have their hand out and just looking for a freebie. They promise the world and then don't follow through with it, which is another thing that's important. Is I think the more you can over-deliver, so you under-promise and over-deliver is key as well. So if I guess to define deliverables, basically when you're talking to a marketing partner, you tell them, these are the exact things that I'm going to do for you this year. So I'm going to give you 10 videos a month. I'm going to give you 50 photos a month. I'm going to do X amount of posts. I'm going to go to these races. I'm going to go to these events. So that way they have a very defined scope of what you're doing that year. And then you need to follow through with it. You need to do exactly what you said you were going to do. And then also, hopefully you go above and beyond that, and then that way companies are excited to work with you, and they feel like they're getting a good bang for their buck.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Wes, you touched upon something, and that is videos that you're supplying your sponsors. That's a huge thing that again not very many people are doing. You're doing a really good job of that. I have to cut you off because we've got a couple more guys right behind you jumping in, but you did a great job of explaining a lot of the things that people don't do in race requesting of money and product. Congratulations on the 1,000 win, and thank you very much for giving people advice here. It's kind of really cool that someone who's getting it is giving that away in any way. Thank you.
Yeah, and good job, man. Like you said, at the Baja 1000, dude. Killer job.
Thanks, Wes. See ya. All right. So
Got a lot of love there.
while Chase is looking for our next person, which I think you had Jake, and I think Phil was supposed to be on there too.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
That's one thing that Wes had said. I'm going to reiterate is video and media. So when you're requesting things from companies, what's really powerful right now, more so than having a sticker on the car. Stickers aren't worth it anymore. They're just not, and that's something you were talking about before we even started.
Plus, the car gets muddy.
The car gets muddy, you can't see the stickers.
see it,
We
yeah.
tried putting mud flaps on the front of our car just to keep the side of it clean by the end of the race so that people could see what was on it. It's ridiculous. Honestly, anything on the side of the car is useless. It's what you're doing before, during, and after the race. If you're not winning, it's what you're doing at those times on your media and how many people that you're actually talking to and the people that you're supporting while you're talking to them as well. So
I did not see Phil in the room here, but we got the one and only Killer Carver coming into the chat. And holy cow, he's driving, people. Jacob.
talking and driving, man.
I'm on the side of the road, don't worry.
I think that's worse than texting. I guarantee you that. Oh, by the way, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. It's going to get you in trouble. Thanks for signing in, man. I know you're busy today. I don't know if you had a chance to watch what Brandon had to say and what Wes had to say, but okay, if you did, then is there anything different than what they have said that you might be able to touch upon on how to do this? Maybe in like a minute or less. How did you finally get support from Polaris?
Dude, let's ask a better question.
Because I know it was rough.
Let's ask him how he's doing it better than both of those two guys.
Other than sweeping the media guy off his feet all the time.
Yeah, this is true. How did you get it at first, really quick, and then how do you keep it?
Sure, I think that, obviously they touched on the main points. Everyone's going to tell you results and holding that relationship. But I think another thing that, they didn't really mention that I try to do is, I think you need to express why you want to be running the parts that, the parts that you're trying to get from someone. If you're just wanting to run somebody's wheel because they're the only guy that's going to give you a free wheel, that's not really a long-term thing that people are going to be pumped on. And I think that
a lot of people do that.
To explain why, if somebody were to ask you why you want to run our product, it shouldn't be because, I have the best wheel. It should be because, I've tried all these different things. Here's what you're doing differently, and this is why I believe in your company, and not just because you're going to give me something and someone else isn't.
That's a massive point, Justin, because being a business owner, you would want me to say, hey, you would ask me, George, why do you want to run shock therapy? Well, because it's the best. That's why I want to run it. You're doing the best job for this certain genre of racing that I want to get into.
And that works for every manufacturer too. I want to run that tire because we've had the best luck.
Yep.
I want to run that wheel because I know it's the best with what we do. I want to run that engine tune because you guys are making the best power consistently. That's one way to get it done. So on top of that, though, how did it happen for you? If you could say it really quick.
Well, for me, obviously, I tried to do the same as everyone else did and meet as many people as I could, and send emails and everything. But in all reality, I got sponsored, factory-wise by Polaris after 2 years of racing, and I hit the podium the first year. I hit the podium. I think it was 7 of 9 races in 2016, and it wasn't until the end of the year that I was actually noticed and got, it was Vegas to Reno, so it was towards the end of the year. And, I wasn't sponsored for that year, and it was for the following year deal. So, it was just constantly staying at it and, just grinding and staying up till 3 a.m. every night for 2 years. And it finally happened. So,
those long nights.
You can't put your hand out month number 1 or race number 1 and expect it to happen. If you really want it, you're going to get it. So that's really it.
So in general, you have to be patient. You have to stick with it for a long time. Try to get results and don't quit.
Well, just think about it like you're a normal employee going to work at Walmart. You got to be putting in the effort before you get a promotion. That's the way it works. That's just the way it is.
I gotcha. Jake, is there anything else that you'd like to give somebody for some free advice that you're willing to give out?
How about for the new up-and-coming people?
Yeah, how about that? How about specifically for someone who's just started?
Kind of nailed it. It's obviously the other thing I would say is, everyone said don't ask for too much, but sometimes don't ask for anything. Just let them know that you're buying their parts and you're running their parts and you're having success with them. And that could turn into, a small discount or something later, but just don't get greedy is the biggest thing. Everybody wants to be paid and everybody wants everything for free. If someone gives you 5%, don't go, I'll go to the next guy. If you really want to run their parts, take the 5% or the 2% or nothing. But, stay loyal and don't get greedy is the biggest things, I think. So.
Hey, Jake, thank you very much for pulling over and giving everybody some advice. I know it was last minute. Really appreciate that.
Thanks for pulling over. That never happens with Jake at the races.
Yeah. It's the first time you've ever pulled over for us ever.
You're welcome. Don't expect it again.
Thanks, Jake. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, Chase is looking for Phil Blurton at the moment. Then I'd like to introduce you guys to Brooklyn D-Man.
Hi, guys. What's going on?
And she is going to kind of give you a little bit of advice you got Phil?
I do have Phil.
Okay, Brooklyn, we're going to come back to you real quick because Phil's having a hard time
Saving
working.
the best for last, Brooklyn,
Exactly.
Okay? We got to get all the guys out of the way here.
Oh, so I'm last?
Yeah, so
Phil, what's going on, brother? Hi. We got you, man. How are you?
Good.
Hey, man, thanks a lot for signing on. Hopefully you had a chance to watch what Brandon had to say, what Jake had to say, what Wes Miller had to say. So for those of you who definitely are hiding under a rock and you don't know who Phil is, he's pretty much won the championship in Best in the Desert, I don't know, the last 4 or 5 years, and pretty much won every single race there is to win. So as far as winning and then getting sponsorship, Phil would be a perfect example, if not the expert, on how that happens. But you know, you've seen what they have said. Is there anything that you could add that maybe they haven't touched upon? And since you probably won all the races, it might be a little easier for you right now to get some sponsorship.
Can we ask a specific question about how he got the Monster sponsorship? Because I think that's a completely different non-motorsports related company that does motorsports stuff.
Well, I mean, either way, how about this, Phil? Why don't you just talk about what you want to talk about? And then we'll come back and hit you up with the questions.
I think my sponsorship stuff's been a little bit unique. I've actually never gone after a sponsor. You know, we got into Best in the Desert. We won the Each World Championships, which was our second race ever. And everything, it's kind of, the stars just aligned for us right there. I think, like, I don't know, I'm in my own shop obviously too, and I get a ton of people that call me, but for me that doesn't really prove anything. I think just going out and win races and represent yourself well. And then, you know, I think also maybe like, there's a lot of sponsors that people aren't looking at outside of the industry. You know, we just had a really unique opportunity. It was actually a big giant RV sales shop, RV Travel, right by us. And they came to me and were like, hey, you know, the owner of the place is into side-by-side racing and follows it. He's like, hey, I'll give you trailers for your crew and everybody for the whole season. So I think there's a bunch of cool different sponsors out there that, you know, might not be directly related, but it saves me a ton of money by not renting trailers, hotel rooms at every single race.
So your advice on that one would be look outside the box. You don't have to go and get engine and trannies and wheels and tires, the obvious stuff. Go and get food. You know, go and get the stuff that you're going to spend money on.
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what, at the end of the year, you're going to spend a certain amount of money on racing. So if it's free race car parts or other parts that's going to save you money throughout the year, I mean, you can put that money back into your program. Hopefully help the whole club.
Let me ask you this: since getting the sponsorship stuff was fairly easy for you once you won, because winning is not easy, so you had a lot of work to get to that point. But once you started winning and the sponsors kind of started calling you, then how do you deal with them on a year-to-year basis? You know, are you asking for more every year, or are they just pretty much offering that?
Definitely depends on the sponsor, you know. You obviously have product sponsors, and there's sponsors that are product and financial support. And then, you know, I've even had offers that I've turned down before because, you know, if it's a really small part that I might buy 1 or 2 every year, I don't necessarily want to be stuck in a contract with someone that maybe.
Well, then you have a commitment to that person too. You might have to do an event for them, and if it's not, you know, viable, if you're only doing one thing, one part a year, that might not be a good option.
Yeah, you know, COVID definitely changed a little bit of stuff. The way it seemed like sponsorships were done this year, as far as like what happens if races are missed, and how does that work on the financial end. But obviously, King of the Hammers just happened, so I think if that race can happen, everybody else better be able to pull off all their races.
Good job out there, by the way.
Yeah, great job on getting to the podium at King of the Hammers. I know you had a lot of work to get there. When are you going to start running? When can you get all the sponsors to step up and fund some Mexico races for you?
You know, I think we have a 90% chance for doing the 1,000 this year. I think
Good.
that'll be our only Mexico race this year, and I think we're going to hopefully try to come out swinging on that one.
Well, you're picking the hardest one ever when it's a peninsula run, so good job on that.
Yeah, I mean, my dad's raced the 1,000 a bunch, and a bunch of the crew that goes with this. My dad's older buddies, and they've all done it, so we've got a ton of experience as far as the crew goes down there. Now, Bo and I just need some seat time down there. I've ridden the peninsula a handful of times on a dirt bike, so I'm not super far into Mexico, but I don't know, it'll be fun to go down there and give it a ride.
That would be awesome. Can you got anything coming up for this year that you want to release or let loose on? Any new car stuff you want to talk about?
Nothing too crazy. I'm going to race a little bit of a different car at Parker, mainly just because I thrashed my other car at King of the Hammers.
So by necessity.
Yeah, we just finished Bo's new works car about 4 o'clock this morning, and he's headed to the works race right now. We kind of outside the box thinking on his car, got that thing super lightweight. So I think we're going to apply some of that to a new desert car. Obviously, I wasn't a huge fan of the rule changes invested in the desert, but I guess now I'm going to start building some chassis cars.
Well, you're gonna, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, I suppose. But.
You're doing something right there, Phil. You got a lot of love here in the room. We got #1 champ, El Gallo, Phil, and then we have Mr. Sparkles who would like to just say, or KK Kens, Phil, your dad is a badass. We just wanted to let your dad know there, Phil.
That's funny.
Hey.
My dad gets more attention at the races than I do.
That's awesome. Phil, congratulations on hundreds of wins, and thank you very much for signing in, trying to help others get into the sport. I think the more that we foster brand new people, the better our classes in sport will be, and the longer it'll be around.
All righty, we might have just lost Phil. You there?
If we lost you, sorry about that.
All right.
We hung up on him. Bye.
There we go. Looks like we lost him, but we've just been filled in.
Yeah.
Hey, see what I did
Yeah, I
there?
see what you did.
But we have a lot of people here asking who is standing next to you here, Justin.
Okay, so back to my introduction from earlier. It's Brooklyn D-Man, D-Man Racing, and Brooklyn is going to be racing an X3 this year.
Yeah.
And which series?
Best in the Desert.
Okay, all the
Yep.
races?
Gonna try to hit all the races that the rally class can run. So I think they can run about 3 this year. So
You're racing Matt.
4. Yes.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
he's going to Sportsman.
The sportsman.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
Because she's
Yeah.
coming into
Your
the
answer to
rally.
sponsors have been like, no, I'm going to blow his doors off.
Yeah, exactly right. My greatest goal is to beat Matt Burke, but I kind of already did that at Worlds. Sorry, Matt.
I was going to say that was at the top of her resume.
Yeah.
Much faster than Matt Burke.
Yeah.
So my question to you, and one of the main reasons why you're standing here, besides the fact you guys are picking your car up and you happen to be around,
Oh, of course.
is that you're a fairly new racer
Yes,
and have gotten some sponsorship.
I have.
And so that's hard to do, right? When people don't have a ton of time and they start asking for things. So how did you do it? Maybe you could give advice to the people that are new, because that's where you're at.
So one of the things that Phil Barton said was it's representation. So it's how you represent yourself. And being a female in a very male-dominated sport, there's some power there. And especially with things with that, mostly is social media, making sure your social media stays high and you're consistent and you're consistently going, and of course representing yourself the way you want to be represented. And with sponsors, it's just appearance of being there for your sponsors, exactly knowing what they want to see out of you, and also doing out-of-the-box things that they might want to see.
How did you choose the people that you went after to look for, the companies that you wanted to help you?
So when I first started, I didn't know who I was wanting to go after. I was first starting and still learning, and a lot of people, it's just kind of who you know and who sees you at races. So that was a huge help of, I actually got introduced to Robbie Lungsford, and he introduced me to Evolution Power Sports, Todd and Jimmy. So it's kind of who sees you at races and where you're at. So that was a big part of mine, and I got to Evolution Power Sports and they jumped on board with me, which I'm super grateful for that, and they're an awesome company. And then they actually turned me on to Shock Therapy, Justin. So
And we do have a good relationship with Evo, and it actually is a good point. So if you get connected with one of the companies in the industry, sometimes that will be the door that you needed to open into 5 others.
Birds
exactly.
of a feather.
Exactly.
Especially if, and honestly, and not just saying that because it's us, but especially if they're good companies.
Exactly.
Because the good companies tend to know each other and hang out together and work together. So one open door is 10
Exactly.
in that case.
And also, it doesn't matter of the quantity of sponsors you have, it's the relationship that you have with that sponsor. So, I mean, everybody talks, and, you know, if you're on a good basis with one sponsor and you treat any sponsors you have like gold, then it's going to open doors up for more that, hey, this girl or this guy is super cool to work with. We want to see if you can work with them. And it's just keeping that relationship going with that sponsor.
I like that, Justin, because you were talking about you have to win every race, right? She's getting her program going, so now she's starting to be able to get to that level, but she still presented herself as a driver that's really wanted by all these different people because of her relationships.
Yeah, those relationships are super important and probably one of the most important factors in this. But if you haven't raced already, or if you're not winning already, then what is the value that you can supply to the company that you're talking to?
Exactly.
You know, is it media? That's the majority of companies want to see media, and they want to see people that you're touching. And you know, it's almost a click thing. It really is. But you know, if you've got 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, then that's pretty valuable.
Yeah.
And you know, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to share that, and how far that goes is up to the athlete, the racer, to push it.
Exactly.
And so your value to, say, us, or any racer's value to us, is going to be their follow through with their media. Not necessarily that they've mentioned us once or twice, but that they mention us all the time when throughout the day or whatever they're doing, or at least in a hashtag. And then they touch upon what we do for them once a month, once every 2 weeks. It's a constant thing. It's not something you can do once and expect to never have to touch it again. It's management.
Exactly.
It really is.
Yep.
I will say, Brooklyn, you had a tactic that I haven't seen come from anyone else for as far as getting sponsors. You released your roadies on us. And they kept on showing up here. And, I mean, I don't think there's been one time that she showed up here without her roadies. And when we became interested in something, they just started showing up.
I know. They're great people, though.
You wore everybody down just by
Yep.
the amount of time and the amount of times that you asked. How's that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's right. Well, Brooklyn, thank you very much for
Of course. Thanks for
coming
having me on.
without any warning.
Yeah.
Telling everybody how to do it when they
Thanks,
show up.
guys.
Brooklyn, where can they follow you, and what are you doing this year?
So you can follow me on Instagram, Brooke_Lynn_Demon, and then on Facebook, Brooklyn Demon. And then I'm going to try to stick to Best in the Desert this year in the rally class and see what I can do with that, and maybe hit some legacies and maybe some DP4s. So we'll see with that.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Justin,
you.
that means that she might be able to battle you at Parker in the rally class.
No, we're going to be running the turbo car on the Pro Turbo class.
Nice. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so different class, sorry.
Dang it. Dang it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. So with everyone who has signed in, you can get a lot of advice. The one person that couldn't sign in today but called beforehand to give advice is Robbie Gordon. The one thing that he really wanted to push upon you, if he had advice to give, is because you need to have time, you need to be running stuff, you need to be racing prior to expecting to get a whole lot of money or product from anybody in the industry. Concentrate on the races that are media promoted the most. And the races that rolled off of his tongue right away would be Baja 1000. Not that it's promoted the best, but it's the most well known, and you're going to get the most media having done well there. But Mint 400, King of the Hammers, those three races are definitely the ones that you're going to get noticed the most and worth your money to go and race and give it a shot. If you're going to break some parts and you're going to spend some money on entry fees, then the best bang for your buck to get you something in return is to run the races that are promoted the most. That's basically his advice on that. There was a whole lot more advice too, but that's for another subject that we can go into, like what's going on with the Speed UTV, right? And what we think of it.
People are wondering about getting a Speed UTV sponsor. We're throwing it out.
Yeah. So,
I don't see.
Already going for it, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Never fails.
I do not see our boy Emil in the room. But with that being said, I see someone even better, and I got him live on the line. You're wondering why he's not on the feed, people, because we sent him to the beach with no water. Steve, where are you at? What are you doing? And whose car are you tuning?
We're out in Glamis right now, slaying and filleting. We're working on a XC1000 and a DS right now with IQS.
Badass, man. How many cars you guys got through today?
So car-wise, we're going to do 11, but then we have 3 sets of IQS that we're doing that are off the car.
Completely buried. You guys have a full crew out there helping people, answering questions as well if they come by?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of people out here. We got a crew that's killing it. Any questions you guys have, come on by and ask. Ask for Savino or Ernie, and we'll get to take care of them.
Awesome, man. Thanks for signing in. Keep going.
Cool. Have a good one, guys.
You the man, Steve. Everyone misses you. They said hashtag fully built Steve. Get on it.
Is that Steve's new nickname, Fully Built Steve?
It changes every single time. I mean, once it's Tube Sock Steve, fully built. When he wears a dress, we haven't come up with a good name for that yet. It changes. Mrs. Doubtfire was one of them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Some of the other things that I want to make sure that we touch upon that we really haven't said. Number one, win races, you get free stuff. Phil will tell you that. Also, have a history with the people that you work with. Even if it's that you've asked them 100 times in the last 2 years for something, that is history, and you really need to push that and continue to use that. Because if you're in someone's head, they're going to remember you first before they give money to somebody else. Run the big promoted races. That's straight from Robbie Gordon. He'll tell you, best money spent is where the biggest media is, so everybody else knows when you won. The next thing on the list, win races. After that, have a good media program, and that is not just you at the race going, hey guys, I just podiumed this race. I want to thank my sponsors. No, that is not the media that we're talking about. You need to be on it every single day, talking about your team, your program, and your sponsors every single day, or at least hinting toward your sponsors every day and touch upon them directly every couple of weeks. Next on the list, win races. After that, then I would suggest that if you're sending emails out to anybody, that you have a good media packet. Do not send a paragraph of, hey man, I'm looking to get your stuff, kind of need it, want to give it to me? That is a bad way to go about it. You want to send a full media pack with pictures, your history of winning, history of podiums, how long you've been doing it, what races you've run, and what you're going to be running next year, where we're going to see you, and your media reach, how many people follow you, and what you have on Facebook, blah, 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 all that good
And
stuff.
please don't blanket send out the email. Send it to the company individually and talk to them like you know that they're. Do a little research on the company before you
That's
send
right.
it.
Talk to them as an individual. Don't
Yeah.
go sending it out to 50 people. Next on that is win races. After that, you want to make sure that a lot of companies like us want to make sure that you have the backing to repair the car and make the next race. You don't just have one car and no parts. So we want to make sure you're going to hit every race and be consistent. After that, win races. After that, we want to make sure that if you have some sort of value, that you are using it to your best possible level. So if you're going to supply sales for us, if you're going to supply ambassadorship, you're going to be at multiple events that maybe a company can't be at, but you can be, that is something that is very valuable when people make decisions on giving you stuff. And last, I'm going to go with
Win races?
win races. Pretty much all the way around. That's kind of the theme to the program here. But if you haven't won any, then you better be really good at marketing and you better be good at talking to people, because you're going to need to foster those relationships for a very long time.
Everyone in the room was saying that the only thing you guys need to work on is your smile, like Brooklyn.
He's doing a way better job.
So you guys
you
could be
got that
taking
nailed.
some notes from Brooke over there.
Matt, did you have something you wanted to point out too?
Oh, yes. I've been
Okay.
waiting the whole
I'm
thing.
sorry, you can
It's
just
okay.
slap me in the side and
No, I want all the important people to come through first.
What can
so,
you give us?
So from my perspective, because I'm kind of on both sides of this thing,
Having doled out money
Handling
and products
sponsorship.
at DynoJet.
as well as looking for sponsorship. And I guess on the offering sponsorship stuff, a lot of people think that it's just free stuff. When you first start out, I'm pretty familiar with most of the names who are out there all over social media. I spend a lot of time on there, so I know those names when they come across the desk. 90% of them, of the stuff, I get 20 emails a day about this. I don't know those people. And we offer them a racer discount. And quite often they seem offended by that because they don't know. I mean, when you're saving $100 here, $200 here, $500 here, that ends up paying for your gas for that run race or what have you. And what happens is, by doing that, it shows you want to use that product, and we start seeing your name over and over because we're looking. We offered you a discount. We're looking for your name now. And that's when all of a sudden we start seeing production. It makes more sense, like, oh, he's bought a bunch of stuff all year. Let's help him out with this product for the next season. He's proven himself, that kind of stuff. I know on my end, I don't ever send out a request for a product. I always ask what it's going to cost me. If they want to offer it to me at no charge, that's a whole nother, that's up to them. But I'm always going to look for what it's actually going to cost because they're doing me the favor because I'm looking for their product. And I've even heard from some people, well, if they don't pay me, I'm not putting their decal on my car or going to talk about them. Guess what? If they've done anything for you or you want them to do anything for you, you should be promoting them. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
I would say promote them before you ask.
Yep.
You know, that's a better way to do it than promoting after they've given you something. So thanks, Matt, for the advice on both sides. I think we need to get out of here because we've had a ton of advice from really, really awesome people that are in the industry right this second doing it. Chase, are you
Emil,
actually
is that
signing
you? Emil! No, we got it done.
Okay. All right. Thanks for ruining that. We had a good flow going until you interrupted.
No worries. It's what I'm here for, Jess.
All right. So you guys, hopefully this was informative. It can help you to step up your request, the level of your request to the people that you're actually talking to, and hopefully step up your racing beforehand if you can. Otherwise, we're going to do the same thing we just told you to do. We're going to ask everybody for stuff and support throughout what we do, just like what we told you to do. So, as we sign off, Steve isn't here to do it. That means it's me. If you guys have any questions about some of the stuff that Shock Therapy does, or anything on the race team, give us a call at 623-217-4959. If you'd like to get some of the products that we build and service and support and test on our race car on a daily basis so that your products on your car never fail, then go to our website at shocktherapist.com. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
Allie, you were the best.